What is printmaking? Printmaking really isn't printing. It's not just producing or production.
I'm not in the business, and I don't like the business of like, here's a painting, print it. It is an art form in itself.
I think that ability to translate your work through a different medium is a huge benefit personally in printmaking.
And it could be very old-fashioned, low-tech.
Sometimes, I mean, more successful prints, you are in control of that, but the great thing about printmaking is, again, the spontaneity of the process. Sometimes accidents happen that are more interesting than your intentions initially.
For some artists, they almost deliberately choose to work in a process that they can't entirely control.
If it's not challenging making the print, then it's just a mechanical exercise you're going through.
Any definition you put on it is going to be pushed another way, and with things like 3D printing, you might say printmaking is 2D, but that gives it this whole other possibility.
It's a means of reproducing that image several times. There are certain sort of historical precedents like lithography using stones. It ranges from photographic, graphic to potato cuts to etching plates to woodblock engraving.
When the printmakers started in, I think, about 1968, printmakers who realised that, put their heads together and there was a need for this.
The organisation came from quite humble beginnings and then came here to a disused and abandoned wash house. And it's been a very productive place to situate the organisation.
I think the community of artists that have worked in the printmakers, and over the last 45 years really, there's so many artists have had the fortune to be able to access the facilities for years and years, so they have become very skilled artist printmakers.
The perception of Edinburgh Printmakers internationally is excellent. There's a large number of residencies here with international artists.
Currently, in Union Street, we've got an archive in the basement of our current building. It's relatively dry but dusty, cobwebs, as you might expect from a Victorian wash house that's now providing the storage of a very valuable collection of prints that we've commissioned from many artists over many years. In the new building, we will have, dare I suggest the word, bespoke facilities, professional, that can have greater public access to view that archive, which we can't do at the moment because it's too dangerous to climb a staircase down to actually visit the current archive.
The organisation's outgrown the studio in terms of the capacity and the demand for studio facilities. We really don't have adequate education facilities to embrace a big demand from the wider community to come in and learn about printmaking.
We've now, like a hermit crab, outgrown our present shell, which has been the history of the printmakers. We've constantly outgrown and look at always every so many decades in the past I've been looking for a bigger shell.
It's a fantastic situation to be in that we've outgrown this building really, we've outgrown the space. The demand for printmaking now is that there's more people want to come in and access it, and also they want to access it in a more ambitious way, so they want to work to a larger scale.
We're desperate really to improve our facilities so that we can engage with a wider community and a more diverse community, and to increase our capacity so that more people can come in and learn about printmaking and enjoy taking part in printmaking.
The way people access the studio is they start off if they've not done printmaking before, they may come in one of our weekend courses or our evening classes and learn how to work with an individual process. So they get the skills, they get the experience to then come back and use the studio. But a lot of people, you know, if they're social, they'll realise that the added bonus of printmaking is that they're going to work alongside other people, and people like that. You know, people recognise that they're getting something out of that experience as well as the printmaking. They're also getting something that makes them think differently about their own art practice. There's that camaraderie of natural networking that happens. It's just being around other creative people.
At Edinburgh Printmakers, we have our studio facilities, which are a fantastic facility for professional artists. We have our exhibition opportunities, which give artists a platform to present their work. We work with a broad range of artists actually at all different levels of their career.
I'm Rachel McLean. I'm an artist based in Glasgow. I studied at Edinburgh College of Art and I make mainly digital video and digital print. I Heart Scotland was a show for Edinburgh Art Festival in 2013, and the printmakers invited me to make work that was in one way or another related to the upcoming referendum on Scottish independence.
We can provide a lot of mentoring to sort of emerging artists post-art school. It's a difficult period for young artists leaving art school, finding their feet, combining practice with earning a living maybe. So the professional development side of our work with young artists and emerging first stage career artists is considerable. That's only going to benefit and the increase in terms of range in the new premises.
We're also looking to expand into creating facilities for creative enterprises. So we'll be able to offer at least 20 organisations a new home really for their businesses. It's going to be a hub of activity, and with a thriving visitor population. We see that as really benefiting the artists that are going to be involved with the organisation in terms of sustaining their careers and providing a market for their work.
As well as open access, I think a lot of what we do is about raising the profile of printmaking in general. So, you know, one way we do that is to invite artists who are, you know, better known, have a good reputation, to come and explore printmaking. So, you know, whether they're emerging artists or whether they're really well-established, high-profile artists, getting them in the door to work in printmaking. So they'll often work with another artist printmaker. It becomes quite a close collaboration often.
The less you know can sometimes be an advantage starting out on something new.
I think Edinburgh Printmakers are really exciting in the way that they work with loads of exciting artists and loads of artists who are very prominent working in Scotland and also internationally. And I think they often work with artists who have quite a broad practice, who are not necessarily strictly printmakers, but work with them to develop printmaking as part of their practice, which I think is really interesting and really relevant.
The first lithography that we did, it was kind of, Alistair would laugh, it was awful. I mean, it was really awful. I couldn't get my head around the stones, but actually the more and more you get involved in it, and if you're working with someone who's got a passion for it, it brings it on much faster than you think, and it's become quite a nice way of working.
I'm currently working on an installation for Edinburgh Printmakers. For the next 3 or 4 years they've got different artists working on interventions and installations on the actual building. The project I'm doing coincides with the solar eclipse, which is happening on the 20th of March. The astronomers at the observatory have built a little kind of kinetic robot with the help of some school kids. So it's basically a little turning motor that eclipses a light source and projects an eclipse onto the side of the building.
What's really exciting about moving to our new building in Fountain Bridge is that we've got, well, in a basic level, we've got more space in printmaking. It's about the print studio, the education programme, the gallery programme, and all of the different interchanges between those things. So, you know, that's what we've got as an organisation. We've got this lovely benefit that it's all part of the same process to us.
It means that we can radically improve our facilities and develop our audiences a lot more.
The fact that the building is going to be so much more open, visible, accessible on a main thoroughfare with over 60,000 people passing every week is going to encourage visitors into the building.
When you walk in, there's a big glass entrance that is really a lens into the building, and you're going to be able to see on all 3 levels. So you go in and there's the shop that will be selling artist multiples, designer handmade goods and EP editions, and as well as our artist prints as well. And then you'll just be able to walk up the stairs and there'll be a deli wine bar, which is really as an extension on the original building. So it'll just be a glass frontage that will spill out onto the courtyard. The space is going to be pretty special actually. Our ethos, we want everyone to be able to access printmaking and enjoy printmaking, and we can't do that here unfortunately, but Castle Mill Works really does help us achieve that ambition.
Well, the printmakers have a very ambitious vision for the future, which is going to be rooted in the Fountain Bridge master plan and community, and we're helping them adapt their needs to the works that they found in Fountain Bridge. We have a legacy in Scotland of fantastic industrial red brick buildings. Now, a lot of those disappeared. Fortunately, the Fountain Bridge building is one which has survived and which we're capable of adapting.
The building, it's a fantastic space, was built in the mid-1850s and the company, the North British Rubber Company, carried on developing the building up until sort of 1920. And the building that we're moving into is a typical industrial space, lots of natural light and an open plan, which was significant to us because we wanted to take the character of the Union Street studio, the open plan space, into a new home.
The great thing about these red brick warehouses is that they're quite flexible and adaptable buildings. But they also have a kind of intimacy, which is very attractive. So what we're using those warehouses is as the platform to create a series of different workspaces, both for the print studio but also for potential artistic clients who might be part of the whole setting.
Quite an important thing of the new gallery space is that it will have visibility. You can see it from the street. So a big part of an open access facility and a public arts organisation is access.
I think that's a really interesting part of town to be in, given that you're close to the art college and it's a different kind of setting to being in the new town as well. And I think the opportunity for a larger gallery space is going to open up so many more possibilities.
What I think will be great about this is it's a real heritage project in the place, and whilst the canal basin now is surrounded by brand new buildings, which are all lovely, there's a bit of old there as well.
The building has got what we want as an organisation, but also we as an organisation have what that building needs.
If you don't look after your buildings, they will deteriorate and ultimately become dangerous. So printmakers are catching this building just at the right time, probably before it becomes dangerous, which would have led ultimately to its removal. So I think it's a good moment in time in terms of saving the building.
Well, somebody described it as being a sort of veritable encyclopedia of rot. I don't think I'm overstating the case. It's an at-risk building.
Our fundraising target in total is 10 million. We've received a substantial award from Heritage Lottery of just short of 5 million and 1.7 million from Creative Scotland.
We've got something that could be a real hub for the area to allow people to reflect back on their own heritage. And the area has been largely redeveloped for office and residential use, and that's great, but it maybe just needs a bit of cultural heart put back into it, and this is the place where that can happen.
This is a huge gesture of confidence to us as an organisation, but we need that little bit more. We need to go that little further.